God is good. God is good. God is good. And all the time. To Dr. Barry Black, to Reverend Jesse Jackson, distinguished members of the clergy, to President Clinton, Secretary Clinton, Speaker Emerita Pelosi, all of my colleagues in the Congress, all of my colleagues in government, to each and every one of you, to the Congresswoman's constituents in her beloved Houston, and of course, to Dr. Lee, to Erica, to Jason, to Michael, to the beloved family of Sheila Jackson Lee, it's with a heavy heart that we assemble here today to mourn the loss and the passing of a giant. The passing of a giant. She was beloved by her community, beloved by the country, beloved by her colleagues in Congress. And as evidence of that, there are more than 50 members of the United States House of Representatives. I'll ask them to stand, who are here paying their respect to the great, iconic Sheila Jackson Lee, Democrats and Republicans alike. Beloved by her community, beloved by her country, beloved by her colleagues. But though we are here to mourn her loss, I think I can say with some degree of ecclesiastic certainty that Sheila Jackson Lee is in a better place right now. No more pain, no more suffering, no more drama. She's in a better place right now. So we're here also to make sure that we celebrate the life of the incredible, the iconic, the indefatigable Sheila Jackson Lee. And we know that Sheila was always on the scene. Always on the scene. She served in Congress for 3 years. I don't think there was a single event on Capitol Hill or in the community that she ever missed. She was always on the scene. Last time I was with her, earlier this year, I came in advance of the primary to campaign with her, a primary that she won decisively. She had a relationship with all of you. It just so happens that that was the day when the rodeo was taking place. So I showed up. She told me, meet me at the rodeo. As soon as I showed up, she had a cowboy hat for me to put on. Only Sheila could get me to put a cowboy hat on. I put the hat on. We're campaigning throughout the rodeo, and then she said, I have a surprise for you. I said, Sheila, what's the surprise? She said, well, this is African American Heritage Night, and so 50 Cent is performing. I said, that's amazing. She said, in fact, before he performs, we're going to go see him. I said, wow, he's getting ready to perform. She said, it's all right. We're going to go see him. So we're in the whole room, right before 50's scheduled to perform. He turns the corner with his entourage, and the first thing I hear him say is, Auntie Sheila. It was as if the House Democratic leader wasn't even there. And then Sheila, you know, she's always on the scene, always on the case. She said, 50, I got a primary in a couple of days. I need your endorsement. And she took out her camera. I didn't know what 50 was going to do. But he said, I'm here for the great Sheila Jackson Lee. Vote, 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 Sheila Jackson Lee. 50 Cent, I'm with her. She got it all on tape. I had the opportunity to serve with Sheila Jackson Lee for 10 years on the House Judiciary Committee, so I saw firsthand her brilliance, her work ethic, her dedication. We know that Sheila Jackson Lee was a voice for the voiceless, a defender of democracy, a civil rights champion, a legendary legislator, and a powerful, profound, principled, progressive public servant wrapped up in one. Sheila Jackson Lee made a difference over 30 years in the lives of thousands and thousands and thousands of people all across the United States of America. That's your Congresswoman. And y'all know Sheila Jackson Lee, when she set her mind to something, did not take no for an answer. I came to believe that Sheila Jackson Lee was like the Michael Jordan of the House Democratic Caucus. You can't stop her, you can only hope to contain her. She always showed up, always stood up, always spoke up for our community. Last conversation I had with her in person, she wanted to make sure that legislation, civil rights legislation that she was getting ready to introduce would remain a priority. She went on leave shortly thereafter. And I reassured her that it would remain a priority no matter what happened. I said, in fact, Congresswoman, I've come to the conclusion that the words, the initials SJL stand for two different things. I said, Sheila Jackson Lee and social justice legend. Social justice legend. Civil rights champion, voting rights champion, reproductive rights champion, women's rights champion, social justice legend. She looked at me. She said, you came up with that on your own? I said, yes, I did. She said, with that charismatic smile, that's pretty good, brother. As I take my seat, let me simply say that I felt a certain affinity for her, the great Sheila Jackson Lee, because we shared our New York City roots in common. Our New York City roots in common. Although, to be honest, I'm in the church, I made the mistake one day in introducing her of making reference to those New York City roots. In my introduction, I said that Sheila Jackson Lee, this was early in my congressional career at an event, I said Sheila Jackson Lee is a champion for the Juneteenth holiday, a champion for reparations, a champion for the Violence Against Women's Act, a champion for civil rights, champion for voting rights, champion for criminal justice reform. I present to you and introduce to others the distinguished gentle lady from the great state of Texas by way of New York City, having grown up in Southeast Queens, the Honorable Sheila Jackson Lee. And she gave me a look, y'all, that I've never forgotten. She didn't use a colorful word. She just gave me a look. And at the end, she pulled me aside and said, next time, brother, just leave the New York City part out of the introduction. And I came to understand why. Because Sheila Jackson Lee was all Texas all the time, and she didn't want any confusion as to who she was fighting for. So I just want to correct the record at the end. Brooklyn has Shirley Chisholm. Dallas has Eddie Bernice Johnson. LA has Maxine Waters. The Bay Area has Kamala Harris. But Houston, I said Houston, has Sheila Jackson Lee. What a life, what a leader, what a legend, what a legacy. May she forever rest in peace.